Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is May 8th, 2025, and Alejandro Balde officially returned to training today. Also, 8 Barcelona players have been nominated for that Team of the Season for this La Liga season 2024-2025. And finally, the Lenglet situation is not looking good, and the French defender looks like he will be headed back to Barcelona. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and we'll begin this video with an interesting story that I came across, which it's in regards to Barca Legends. As you might already know, Barcelona have a team called Barca Legends, which is composed of retired Barcelona legends, and a lot of times they play against Real Madrid Leyendas, who is the same thing, a team made up of former Real Madrid players or retired Real Madrid legends. And well, the interesting story that I came across is that the Barcelona legends will be playing against the Real Madrid Leyendas in Kobe in Japan. But that's not the interesting thing, because these two teams play each other all the time. The interesting thing is that for the first time ever, it will be a 5v5 indoor match, which I thought was very interesting. More so when you take into account that part of the Barca Legends team will be Iniesta, who of course we've never seen play a 5v5. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see these legends play a 5v5 indoor match. And I think it's going to be very exciting, because not only is indoor football very, very exciting, but it's also going to be exciting because a lot of these legends, they're older. Some of them, their knees have given out, and it's a little bit more difficult for them to cover an entire field when they play 11v11. So I think they'll be able to shine more in a smaller court in a 5v5. And again, I can't wait to see what Iniesta does in indoor football. Anyways, let's move on to the news, because as I reported in yesterday's podcast, Hansi Flick gave the team a day off for after the defeat at the hands of Inter Milan. The Champions League match was on Tuesday. So Wednesday, Hansi Flick gave the players day off. But despite that, 5 players still showed up to the Ciudad Esportiva to train despite having a day off. And those players were Ferran Torres, Pedri, Lamine Yamal, Wojciech Szczesny, and Frankie de Jong, which again, it goes to show that many of these players are still fully committed, because after all, the season is not over. And yes, the defeat or the exit out of the Champions League was very tough for everyone, but the season is not over. We still have the El Clasico match this weekend that we have to win. And if we do, La Liga would pretty much be ours. Not officially yet, but it would be very difficult for Real Madrid to come back from a 7-point deficit. And if we lose it, we could be putting La Liga title at risk, because that means that Real Madrid would only be 1 point behind us. So the season is not over yet. These players have vowed and promised to fight until the end and to win La Liga. And well, these 5 players showing up during their day off, which just goes to show the commitment of these players and the commitment of the team to continue fighting until the end. And now, speaking of El Clasico match, of course, today the team did train after having that day off. And well, Alejandro Balde, he joined the group training, which indicates that Balde is very close to being declared fit. As you know, Alejandro Balde was recovering pretty quickly, recovering well, and it looked like he would make it for the Inter Milan match. However, he did feel discomfort, so Barcelona ruled him out. But now Alejandro Balde trained with his teammates once again, and it looks like he could be a part of the El Clasico match. However, the Barcelona staff are not sure how many minutes he could get, or if any. They're saying there's a very, very high chance, 90% chance, that he will be included in the squad list. But whether he starts, whether he comes off the bench, or whether he doesn't play at all, that's still not clear. Now, of course, we're going to have a better picture in the upcoming days when he trains on Thursday, when he trains on Friday, on Saturday. We'll see how he continues to develop. Right now, it looks like he will be part of the squad, but we don't know how many minutes, if any, Alejandro Balde is going to get against Real Madrid. Hopefully he'll be fully fit by then, because we do miss and we do need Alejandro Balde. Now, another player that is trying to come back for El Clásico match is Marc Casado, who of course had a partial rupture of his tendon in his knee. He was set to miss 2 months. He has been recovering very well and ahead of schedule. However, Barcelona don't want to take any risks, and they want him to complete the full 2 months recovery that they had initially established for him, which means that Casado would be back for the derby against Espanyol. However, the player has requested that he be included in the match against Real Madrid in El Clásico. He wants to have at least some minutes, but of course, Barcelona right now are not looking to risk the health of Casado, so most likely they will keep the schedule already planned for Casado, which is for him to come back during the derby, which is the match after El Clásico against Real Madrid. Now, speaking of the training today ahead of El Clásico, the team had a meal together once they were done training. They all went out together. They had lunch together, and this was kind of like a meeting to boost the morale and boost the spirit of the team, because of course the exit out of the Champions League was very tough for all the players. But again, they still have the rest of the season. They still have La Liga title to fight for, so all the players had a meal together to kind of like come together, boost their togetherness, boost their morale, boost their spirits, so on Sunday they can come out ready, focused, full of intensity, ready to beat Real Madrid, so we can continue fighting for our La Liga, which would be our third title during this season under Hansi Flick. Now, speaking of how well this season has been going, 8 Barcelona players have been nominated for the team of the season during this 2024-2025 La Liga season. Now, let's look at all the players that have been nominated. These are the goalkeepers nominated for team of the season, and none of them are Barcelona goalkeepers, so I'm not even going to bother going over the names. But then let's look at all the defenders that have been nominated for team of the season. Amongst them is Alejandro Balde, Íñigo Martínez, Pau Cubarsí, and Jules Koundé. So pretty much our entire defensive line has been nominated for team of the season. And the curious thing that I saw when I was reviewing this, I had to do a double take, was that Rudiger was amongst the nominees. I don't know if they were just trying to include a Real Madrid player or what, but Rudiger, I mean, my God, I have an old cone in my storage room that I can defend better than Rudiger. Not to mention what he did with the referee, throwing things at him, threatening to kill him, had to be held back, or he either would have hurt the referee. And somehow that qualifies you to be nominated for Defender of the Season, or for the Team of the Season. Anyways, now let's look at the midfielders that have been nominated for Team of the Season. Only Pedri is on this list. Of course, that's an easy choice. I think Pedri is the best midfielder in La Liga and probably the best midfielder in the entire world in his position. And then these are all the attackers nominated for the team of the season. Amongst them is Lamine Yamal, the best player in the world, Robert Lewandowski, who's the top scorer of La Liga, and Rafinha, who is the top scorer of the Champions League. Of course, that doesn't count. This is just for La Liga. But pretty much our entire offensive line. So our entire defensive and our entire offensive line all nominated for Team of the Season. Voting will open pretty soon. And of course, I encourage all of you to vote. The voting will happen on La Liga's website. Now, let's end this video with bad news, because it looks like the Lenglet situation has gotten complicated. As I reported in previous videos, Lenglet is doing really well at Atletico Madrid. El Cholo Simeone wants to keep him, and as such, Atletico Madrid had notified the player that they want to keep him. But when they offered him a contract, they offered him half of the salary, the ridiculous, inflated salary that he currently has. And well, it looks like the player did not like that, so he rejected that offer, and now Atletico Madrid are ruling out the possibility of keeping Lenglet, because even though they like him, they want him, they're not willing to pay his ridiculous salary. So if he's not willing to accept what they're offering him, they're not going to keep him, especially since they do have other objectives for the defensive line, including El Cuti Romero and also Mourinho from Alaves, which I reported about in the last video. So it looks like for now, Lenglet will be headed back. Not looking good since we need to get rid of Lenglet. We cannot afford his high salary. He's a player that nobody counts on in Barcelona. He has a contract until 2027. Or maybe this is something good. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise, because after all, Atletico Madrid, we're going to do what Atletico Madrid always does, which is trying to rip us off. So maybe, I don't know, maybe him coming back will allow us to offload him somewhere else, to another team that's not going to rip us off. And maybe the fact that Atletico Madrid said, sorry, we're not going to pay your salary, maybe this will finally convince Lenglet that he doesn't deserve the salary that he has, that he is not that good. He sucks. I mean, for crying out loud. He failed at Aston Villa. He failed at Tottenham Hotspur. Finally, he succeeded at Atletico. And despite him succeeding there, Atletico are like, sorry, bro, we're still not going to pay you what you are getting paid. So, I don't know. Lenglet, get it together, bro. You're not worth the salary you're getting paid. Unless you want to go to Saudi. In that case, hey, go at it. But please, just leave Barcelona already. Thanks a lot, Bartomeu, for this signing, 35 million euro signing, for renewing his contract with such an incredibly high salary. At this point, we've probably paid 100 million plus for the signing and in salary to Clement Lenglet. Thank you a lot, Mr. Bartomeu. Anyways, that is all the news for this video. We'll be uploading another video in a few minutes, so stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, Visca Barça.